Where would you go if there was no restrictions? If everything was in reach? On ACALA, that is possible. Alex Clark from Denison Yachting, and today I'm going to take you through the 2015 Darwin 102 built by CDM Shipyard in Ancona, Italy. ACALA is the definition of a global explorer, a modern-day expedition yacht. With a 4,500 nautical mile range, full displacement steel hull, she puts the most remote regions of the planet within reach. The most impressive features on most expedition yachts are the range, tank capacities, and abilities of the vessel. ACALA is a little bit different because the interior is just as impressive. One of the features that I love about ACALA is that she was designed with family use in mind. She has 5 guest cabins, sleeping 12 guests, and to assure the best service available, she sleeps 7 crew with 1 dive master if needed. One of the reasons I mentioned having a dive master on board is that this owner is passionate about diving. Here at the transom, there are a number of smart design features. Starting to port, you have a quick connect location so you can easily fill multiple dive tanks. You have a centerline hydraulic platform that both raises and lowers, allowing ease of access both in and out of the water. And the area is double wide, assuring multiple people can get ready to enter the water at once. All the features I just showed you would be all for naught without the Lazarette. To me, the Lazarette is clearly the highlight of the entire vessel. This entire Lazarette was specifically built with dive operations in mind. For starters, you have a nitrox dive compressor, storage for multiple sea bobs, and custom storage throughout for everything to do with diving, from BCDs to masks and fins. A few other key components here in the Lazarette would be a washer dryer, a large water maker to port, and shore power converters, assuring you can plug in anywhere in the world with no problem. Entering the engine room, the first thing that you're going to notice is the size. ACALA features twin Caterpillar C18 engines, whose efficiency I will touch base on in a minute. Also found in the engine room are 2 50 kW Kohler generators, each of which is powerful enough to run the house. Also found in the engine room is an Alfa Laval. What this fuel polishing system does is it assures clean fuel going to both your engines and generators. ACALA comes in at 244 gross tons, which is extremely large for a 100-foot yacht. She has a cruising speed of 11 to 12 knots, and at 10 knots, a range of 4,500 nautical miles. Let's pick back up here on the aft deck. Here you have a centerline table with seating for up to 12. Before stepping inside, to port you have a refrigerator. To starboard, you have stairs that take you to the upper deck, and both to port and starboard, walkarounds that go all the way up to midship. Entering the salon, to port and starboard you have built-in cabinetry, and a large, low-profile couch, which is a very inviting space. Opposite of the couch, you have a 55-inch pop-up TV. Forward to port, you have a multi-purpose space that can be used for dining or as a card table. Forward to port, you pass a day head before entering the crew area. One of the most practical features of ACALA is that the crew area is located forward and on the main deck. To starboard, you have the crew mess, additional refrigeration and freezers, and direct access to the starboard companionway. Moving forward in centerline, you enter the crew accommodations, which have 3 cabins, all of which are ensuite. Opposite of the crew mess to port, you have the galley, which has direct access to the port companionway. Now why don't you follow me down into the guest accommodations. All the way back aft, you're going to find 2 identical VIP cabins that mirror one another, both of which have queen berths and are en-suites. Midship to both port and starboard, you have identical cabins, which we call the bunk rooms. These cabins each sleep 3 guests with a Pullman and are also en suite. Moving forward and up 3 steps, you have a raised master cabin with a king berth, also with an ensuite. Part of the reason you have such a relaxing vibe on board ACALA has to do with the brass hardware you find in the en-suites, as well as the other brass fixtures throughout. Leaving the guest accommodations, we're going to jump up to the wheelhouse via a centerline staircase. As we head up to the upper deck, I want to point out the skylight above the centerline staircase that allows for a lot of natural light. Stepping into the wheelhouse, the first thing that you're going to notice is the visibility and the forward raked bridge windows. Some of the highlights of the wheelhouse are 2 identical captain's chairs, 4 flat panel monitors, and to port, something you don't typically find on a yacht this size, and that's a captain's cabin. The captain's cabin is an ensuite, and I want to point out the Pullman berth, which is where the local dive master would stay while on board. Stepping back into the wheelhouse, you can't help but feel some of the commercial heritage that goes with the Darwin line offered by CDM. ACALA's wheelhouse is absolutely state-of-the-art and would be at home on any yacht, much less a 31-meter, with our Furno navigation equipment. You have a bridge deck door both to port and starboard, which gives you access to the wing stations. Moving forward and down to the foredeck, you have access to your running gear and bosun locker. Heading back aft from the wheelhouse, you have one of my favorite spaces on board, which is the Sky Lounge. In line with the main salon, you have a low-profile settee and sliding doors that tuck away. Once the sliding doors are out of the way, the entire space opens to the exterior, essentially creating one large space with teak decks that flow throughout. Just outside the Sky Lounge, you have the main dining area on board that can easily seat all the guests on board at once. The highlight of the aft section of the upper deck is the Mirror VRC 4500 davit. This aft section is where ACALA carries her custom 19-foot Novarania diesel tender. I want to point out that the tender is purposely diesel so you can siphon off of the main tanks, thus avoiding having to carry jury rigs on deck. Now follow me upstairs to the third and final deck, the Sundeck. To me, the first thing that you notice is not just how high you are off the water, but also how substantial ACALA feels. All the way forward in centerline, you have a jacuzzi surrounded by sun pads, great for lounging. Midship to port is your entertainment space that features a full-size Australian barbecue, refrigerator, and ice maker. The mast located above is extremely well organized and provides additional shade for the space. As someone who's passionate about the expedition segment of the market, ACALA stands out, and I think you can understand why. If you have any questions that have gone unanswered, or if you'd like to arrange a showing on board, feel free to contact me, Alex Clark, at any time.